Guitars Collective is a group of like-minded people from all around the world at different stages of their guitar building journey. You can join us over on our forum to seek advice or share tips on guitar building processes, materials and tools, or just to share your builds. On YouTube, we have a regular podcast of guitar building chat where you can join the live stream or watch back on past episodes. Our Instagram page shares posts of members' builds and links you direct to their accounts. And for those of you on Facebook, we've got a private group that you can join, share and chat along with. The Guitar Builders Collective is a welcome and open space for all, so do pop by and say hi. Oh, good morning everyone, except we've just lost Dave.
Hi there. Well, we're done.
You've gone black, Dave.
Oh, we can hear him. Okay, right. I'm not sure what I've done. I'll come back out and I'll come back in again.
Whilst Dave is doing that, I'll say good morning to everyone. It's a different time this time, so we could get Corey in. Here's Corey.
Pardon me, sorry, I've just burped. Yeah, go. Dave's video at the moment should be how my video is, I reckon. Probably get a bit more viewers without muggling there.
So Arran's back as well over here. Because for Scott, Arran and myself, the clocks have all recombined to be at a time when we can all do, except for the first one, we've gone at a different time so that we can get Corey in, because we want to get Corey in for ages, and that means it's the middle of the night at the moment, so Scott probably fast asleep.
And I still live with Mum, so you know.
Yeah, it's hard to do it.
I can't really come out and talk instead of midnight.
Oh, Corey, I can see your guitars and your workshop. Is this your workshop space then?
Yeah. Mum's in there watching On the Way or the news, so.
Yeah, well, I know that whenever I see your videos, you tend to have the garage door open or big door open, so there's a lot of light in there and it feels like you're almost outside. But of course, it's night for you now.
Yeah, this is a 6x3 garden shed. And, yeah, the two big front doors have got to be open to actually get Wi-Fi service.
Right.
It's just a bit of pain in the ass. Like I've shut the little side door just in case someone jumps the back fence and scares the shit out of me. So I always worry about that. I'll be working. There's a video on Instagram where I'm working in my shed at the unit that I had before I bought this place, and I was routing a cavity, and the neighbour came up and said, "Corey," and I jumped big time.
Not a good idea.
It's like I'm not good. Yeah, I've told people if I'm using tools not to, bother me.
Yeah, I do the same. I try and tell my kids don't open the door if you can hear a lot of noise, because I'm a bit paranoid that I'll not just slip and damage a guitar, but damage myself somehow.
Yeah, I had a close call at that place. I was using a table router, but I carved the back of the guitar, but I was trying to level the lip around the edge. And it caught and it threw my hand forward, and not until I looked at the footage back, I was like maybe an inch or a centimetre away from a big, it was a big white side spiral bit that was just sticking out of the table. So I was really lucky with that. There's been a few close calls actually.
I guess most of us aren't filming ourselves all the time and watching it back. So I wonder how many close calls we have and never realise.
Yeah, like I'll share it with the group too. Like that, I could probably just nothing ever happens here, but I'd prefer to, say, "Oh, look, this is what happened. Don't be like me."
So for those of you that don't know, Corey's from Saul Goode Guitars. And I'm sure we'll talk about the Guitar Builders Collective history a bit later on. But if you're on Instagram and you're following Guitar Builders Collective, or if you're on Facebook and you're part of the Guitar Builders Collective group, Corey has been integral to both setting them up and managing them. You'll see him posting all the time on it. It's fantastic. We'll talk about the Jurgs Cup later. And Corey, I assume that was, I've always assumed that it was you that initiated the idea for the Yergs Cup.
Well, with that, we had talked about doing a build-off for ages, like when we probably only had about 10, 15 people in the group. And a lot of the time it was like, oh, no, we don't want to step on Crimson's toes and Ben's toes and that. And then Yergs passed and it was like, let's just do it. Yeah, it'll be a nice little thing. We got blessing from his wife and his kids, and yeah, it seemed the right thing to do.
Yeah, because, definitely.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, and oh, you're in that group, aren't you? Can you try to get me in? And yeah, look, there's a guy called Yerg and he wants to come in, and everyone's like, yeah, bring him in. And then he's there for a while.
It was always so positive, wasn't he? I mean, sort of the comments that he always used to give was always encouraging and comment, So it was.
He was.
It's really sad.
He was like, I remember the first comment he left on one of my videos, and it was during the original Use What You Got. He goes, oh, so you're not using a template? It's like, no, I'm just freehanding in here. And then there was one in the second guitar build off. He goes, you know what? I've never seen you use a ruler. he had the
there's a challenge.
Yeah, like, I did all the marking before I actually did anything with it. Like, marked the body and for the neck and everything. Measured the scale off camera.
Well, it's not on camera. We don't know it really happened.
Yeah, did it happen?
Yeah. I'm just sharing Jürgen's Instagram page here so people can see some photos of his builds. But yeah, for those of you that don't know, he was someone that was really active on or everywhere, I think. So I definitely remember his comments on YouTube and Instagram. But always really encouraging. But clearly he'd watched the videos. It wasn't just start watching, leave a comment. Clearly got involved with them, which was brilliant.
I was doing lives for a fair while when I was recovering after cancer operation. And he was on the way to work and he'd always pop in and say, oh, I thought I'd check in just before I go to work. And it's just top bloke. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's still hard because I don't know about Arran, but Jürgen and I used to talk a fair bit. And it's just
it's some of that direct stuff as well. I know, Corey sort of mentioned that he was chatting to Jürg sort of before joining other chat groups and those kind of things. And I know, Corey sort of suggested he was keen to chat with a few of us, and then I sort of looked back through my videos and found a lot of comments from him. And as soon as he sort of came in, he was like, he knew everyone's videos and everyone's guitars and all about us. So that was really cool. And that was at the time as well that he had his Instagram, but he hadn't done YouTube, and kind of wanted to be involved in the Great Guitar Build Off. And but the whole video stuff scared him a bit. And we just said, oh, just do it, just keep it simple. And that was, it was really cool when he started doing the YouTube for Great Guitar Build Off, because then we got to hear him and see him and get to know him a bit more that way.
Totally. He'd been building for a while, and he always commented. It was always positive, and he was one of a kind, really.
We lost.
We lost Daniel.
I can hear him talking in the background. It sounds like he's talking to someone.
Yeah. No. So, I mean, I love the guitar you're working on now, Corey. I mean, that's amazing. The neck you've been working on. I mean, that the patience you have to do that.
You know what that was, Dave? That was boredom. I'm still waiting to go back to work after the first surgery I had.
Right.
Surgery. And I had this. It all started with last year's guitar build-off that I did. And I actually showed it to Jürgen when I was planning it out. And he's like, oh, that's cool. That's like checkerboard. And it stuck with me. And I'm like, I did before we were told that we could start building, I built like a prototype sort of neck. And I showed him and he said it was really cool. And it wasn't long before, like, it's probably about a month maybe before he ended up passing. And then the blue guitar that you're talking about, I just went, you know what, I'm just going to go crazy with it.
Yeah.
And I do have, that was the first
Right.
sort of prototype for the guitar build-off one. And pardon me, sorry, I shouldn't drink Coke.
I'm just trying to find some photos of it on Facebook or Instagram, so I can zoom in a bit, but I can't.
Oh, right.
We've been sharing them in our WhatsApp groups or Instagram groups.
Yeah,
That's
that's a beautiful neck, isn't it, as well? Yeah.
Yeah, so that one had 84 pieces in it.
84 pieces.
Yeah, this one did. And there was a catalyst for the one that I ended up doing for the UX Cup. But that was my guitar build-off.
So what's
and
on the top? What's on the top of that one?
that is blackbutt burl.
Wow.
Yeah, blackbutt's like a eucalyptus.
Right.
And it's a really hard wood to sand. Like Arran's made one of not burl but blackbutt, and it's like it takes ages to sand little divots and crevices and that out of it.
So is this a local?
I'm pretty sure blackbutt's Australian, like native Australian.
Yeah, it's an Aussie one. It's one of those woods where the different grain patterns goes from soft to hard, but it's almost like it's from hard to harder. It's you can kind of feel the difference a bit. But yeah, I've used it once. That was the one where we had the matching pieces, wasn't it? That was the blackbutt.
Yeah, you bought the top after I bought the top.
Yeah, so we bought I
got the sister piece or the sibling piece for this.
Yeah, so we basically there's a Australian guitar, a place in Queensland, and he just does amazing tops, and all like Australian timbers. So Corey and I both bought a fair few tops from him, and I can't remember. I don't know. It might have been you that I can't remember. I think you definitely used it and built a guitar first, but I can't remember who. Basically, we bought the two tops about the same time, and you could tell there's a crack that runs through part of it, and they literally would have been, next to each other in the tree that it came from, because he put them up on his web store at the same time. So yeah, we kind of got matching guitars from the top.
Yeah, that was on the guitar called the Wiggles guitar.
Yeah, the Wiggles.
Yeah. For a while there, I was getting cosplayers from the Wiggles. Well, yeah. Wiggles
Dave doesn't know the Wiggles.
Oh, don't know.
Oh, they're a children's group over here.
Oh, is that all right? Okay.
Yeah,
probably.
Shit.
And they're probably Australia's second most popular export band after AC/DC, I reckon. The Wiggles.
I'll tell you something.
They're probably
my kids are into the Wiggles, and as a result, I did a deep dive into them, the history of them and stuff. They earn a lot of money. They do a lot of touring, and I think they probably earn more than AC/DC easily.
It's a worldwide franchise. There's apparently Wiggles groups all over the world now. So they've done very, very well for themselves.
I'm so out of touch, guys.
They were like a rock band before they started doing the kids' music too. They were called the Cockroach, pretty sure.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that one of them was doing some sort of degree. I think they were teacher and playing back.
They were all
bands.
And yeah, they were all of them, or three of them that started it. They're all primary school teachers doing a degree together, and started primary school teaching. And as part of that, were writing kid songs and performing kid songs, and that just took off. So they've actually got, rather than just writing catchy kid songs, they've actually got a background in kids education.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think it's funny. We're here talking about the Eagles Cup. Now we're talking about the Wiggles.
Yeah, it's
via Australian Woods.
But basically, to go back, they use Maton guitars, and they Maton made a series of electric guitars, which they don't make anymore. Corey has sort of made that design.
Oh, right.
I made a couple based off it. And there's Australian band called Grinspoon. They use the guitarist used one of them for ages. A few Australian bands like Area 7 as well, and the guitarist out of Eagles of Death Metal used the Maiden as well as that. They look awesome guitars. I've never played one personally, but they're just unique because they only made one sort of style of the electric guitar for a fair while.
And it goes back to the models from the 1960s, the early ones for the electric, and I think they made them up until maybe 10 or 15 years ago. It's pretty much like a Les Paul style sort of guitar. I've played a couple years ago, and they feel really good to play. But they don't make them anymore. So there's their second-hand ones around, and they're reasonably they're reasonably affordable too.
Oh, okay, right, yeah,
I like that shape.
Yeah.
Twin humbucker kind of thing.
I only know I had that template lying around because I spent the last week and a half tied in my shed. And I was going to do a bit of work today, and then I thought, no, I'll go play golf instead. So I even bloody vacuumed the top of the
Oh, there we are. Is he a wiggle?
Yeah. There's a wiggle, yeah.
I'll wear coloured shirts, Dave.
So maybe we can use that to step back a bit. And Corey, how long have you been making guitars then? Because you seem so productive.
On and off since probably when my son was about 6 months. So nearly, I'd say about 12 years.
Right.
On and off. I've polished a lot of turds in them. A lot of them have turned out crap, and I've cut them down and reused the neck or the truss rod or the pickups. But I was just making heaps out of like stuff from council pickup days, which it's like a yearly thing where people just put their shit out on the front, like on the nature strip or the curb, as other people would call it, and pick up timber and old bed frames and that, and just make stuff.
So do you had some sort of experience in woodworking or background in making?
Only what we did in high school. Like it was, high school was mandatory to do woodwork up until year 10, I think. So from ages 13 till about 16, we do woodwork and metalwork, and then it was.
I definitely assumed, looking at the things you make, that you must have done, because I find, like the neck you just showed us that's got so many laminates in it, there's quite a lot of complicated processes you use, or you experiment with resins and things like that. And it made me think that must be something in your background.
No. No, it's just something I fell into, really. Like, it's taken this long to get, I'd say, decent at what I do. Like, that neck that I just showed you, like, people think that it's so many scarf joints, but if you have a look at it, the scarf, camera, that's the scarf joint there, and then you just glue on top of that, and then you just cut like a flat piece out of it, and then that's your neck pretty much. You just keep adding, like, I call them tiles.
Yes.
Like you're adding like bits of the timber along until you've got it long enough. And then, it's just, I have a Jazzmaster neck template over there, and I use that for the length, because a lot of times I won't do like a Fender scale or a Gibson scale. I'll do a 26-inch scale or 26.5-inch scale, but I'll just use that as a length of the neck, like, so I know when to stop gluing stuff onto it. And with the Yerkes Cup, neck, which I'll show you in a second, there's probably only about 5 mil of the original neck, the original scarf joint left in it.
Right.
Because by the time I was gluing, I had to cut off the end. I had to cut off one end, and that was the end with the flat part on it. So I cut off there. And yeah, it was like literally 5 mils or maybe a centimetre at most of the original scarf joint.
So why is it that you do the longer scale? Is it just that's what you prefer yourself?
Well, I play, if I do play, like, there's a lot of stuff that I'll play that's in tunings that aren't standard. So it just helps keep everything, like the string tension, the same as it was if it was in standard with regular strings. So I make 4 strings as well, like based off what the guitarist out of Limp Bizkit uses on some songs, and it's got a specific tuning and it's got the scale length. So I've got like the template, so I'll just use that a lot of the time for most like stuff that I do for myself, really, unless I'm building something specific.
And obviously you've built those Wiggles guitars for people, but what happens to your guitars? Do you sell them on, or do you have, because I'm sure I've heard you mention you've had commissions in recently.
Yeah, I've had a few commissions recently. Depending, like, ideally I want to do more commissions rather than have them hanging up in my house. At one point I had like 25 guitars in my room.
Right.
And like there's a lot hanging up. There was a couple under the bed that were bought, and yeah, like I made like a little Jag thing for my cousin's boyfriend the other day. So that went on Monday, and I said, well, if you didn't ask for a guitar to be built and you just go, oh, what have you got lying around? I was going to give you this one. And like I would have just gave this one to you, and then she, oh, that's nice. And I said, well, take it then. It was like a
Nice
hollow body sort of kit. But yeah, it's funny because the commissions that I've got recently has either been because of YouTube, or I posted an Instagram story the other day, and I'm working on one at the moment based off a guitar that the guitarist from Limp Bizkit used. And I've got a commission doing that, which is, I'm all prepared, which I'm surprised, but it's
Wow.
Oh yeah, that's super cool.
That's lovely, isn't it? That's amazing.
yeah. So that's based off a guitar, a guy in not Germany, in Italy, I think, and it's called a Cremona by Master Guitars, but they don't seem to be running anymore. And yeah, so that's going to be a 4-string, so it's got a narrower neck. It's going to pretty much have the same dimensions as this one.
Right.
I'm so tiny on the screen, so I don't know what shows up. But yeah, that came from posting a story on. That commission came from posting a story on Instagram of a guitar the same sort of shape,
Right.
which is It was a black one with flame maple top, and I ended up getting that from Ty, Shop Fox. Yeah, I ended over a couple of nice tops, and yeah, it's just I don't know. I get bored. I get bored doing.
Wow.
I get bored doing the same thing over and over again.
So I had no idea that was something that the guy from Limp Bizkit used. Is that Wes Borland?
Yeah, Wes Borland, yeah.
because I know when I first looked at these, they look like guitars, not bass guitars, because of the proportions of everything. And then you notice they've got the 4 strings, and obviously just looking at the picture, you don't know the scale's different. But I always found them intriguing to look at because of the fact that they don't look like a bass, if you know what I mean.
Well, the thing with those, the guy makes 6-string ones as well, but I'm guessing Wes commissioned him to make a 4-string.
Right.
And the 4 strings, it's like a hybrid sort of bass guitar, like a bass and guitar. The lowest strings are low F sharp, which is like the 2nd fret on a low E on a bass.
Yeah.
And then the next string down's a F sharp, like it would be in standard tuning on a guitar.
Oh,
and
right.
then it goes BE, which is like it's basically like being capoed, the rest being capoed at the 2nd fret. Then you just play the lower strings, but then it's got a low F sharp on it. And
so is the neck?
Sorry, Dave?
Sorry, I was just going to say, is the neck width then? Is it sort of narrower then, or like the narrower than a normal guitar?
Yeah, I've got it right down. They're around 40 mil, I think, at the nut.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, just a little bit narrower.
Yeah, Christoph, that's in the chat. His name's I am Casper, or I'm just Casper. He made one. He made a Cremona like that, and I was like, "Oh, dude, that's so cool." And we started talking about that, and he was so helpful. And he even said, "Oh, why don't you message Wes Borland's Guitar Tech? He might be able to give you."
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So, yeah. Yeah, I don't want to be known as the guy who makes copies, though, but at the same time, like, if I get asked, I'll probably do it till I get told I shouldn't do it.
I'm going to have so sorry. I'm going to ask you some more questions on it though. So, at the bottom 2 strings, is one of them more like a bass string, like a thick gauge, and one of them's more like
it's an 80 gauge, the low F sharp,
right?
And the gauges that Wes Borland uses is an 80, 42, 32, 22 for them.
Right. Okay. The reason I'm asking is for the Jurg's Cup, I've just started making some things, and some of them are going to be 2-string. So I was intrigued. I was going to put a bass and a normal guitar sort of string together, an octave apart, and it's interesting to hear that you've done that. So I wanted to know what it felt like when you play it.
Yeah. It's cool. You get like a big power chord out of it too.
Yeah.
Because of like you're just missing the 5th, but you get a nice big meaty power chord out of it. And the reason he did that was the octaves would be so close together, so he wouldn't have to skip over the strings.
Yeah, nice.
And like he's got a PRS made version of that now too, which is like their PRS 22 or 24 models. And he's got 2 outputs on it. He's got like a bass pickup and a guitar pickup, and he splits the signals and everything.
So, obviously you've been making guitars then for, you said, about 12 years, but have you been a guitarist previous to that?
I started playing when I was about 14.
Right.
And I learned a bit from the schoolmates, but a lot from just tabs and stuff. And I got rid of my first bass and then ended up getting a Pitbull kit and made one that was similar to it. So the story is you never get rid of your first one. But
yeah. No, I still have my first one. I've just been I'm thinking of selling my first bass though. I've just repainted it, and
is that
I've never used it.
Iceman?
Oh no, I've got an Iceman. No, my first bass was an Aria Pro. I don't remember what model number it was. It's just a sort of red wood finish, and I have when I first started getting into guitar building, I took all the frets out of it and tried to make it into a fretless, and it was all right, but I didn't really use it very much. And then about a year ago, I thought I'll just dig it out, put frets back in and repaint it. But I realized I don't use it anymore. and I don't want to be precious about things. It's not my first ever guitar; it's my first bass, but I feel like I need to. If I want to try to make a living out of just making guitars, I need to sell them, not just keep them.
Yeah.
So I've got a few that I've made that I like and I've kept, but I need to bring in a bit more money. So trying to get them out is good.
Yeah, the ones
I've
that
still got the first.
Oh, sorry, Aaron.
No, just say I've still got the. You go.
The ones I have hanging up in my room, a lot of it's like I know where the faults are, and I'm too honest to say, okay, no, there's nothing wrong with it, bang, sort of thing. Like this one here, I end up putting pine underneath the walnut just to give it a bit of contrast. And I made the mistake of not gluing the pine to the flooded gum. I did it to the walnut, and then I back cut underneath here so you wouldn't see the pine. And I was routing the bevel the other day, and I ended up taking out a spot here, and you could see through the guitar there and there. So I ended up plugging it with some walnut, and the guy that's commissioned for, I said, look, I can start again, or you can have a bit of a discount. And he's like, mate, that's on the bottom of it. I'm fine with that. So nice. I got lucky, but if I glued the pine to the flooded gum, all of that would have been chambered out and it wouldn't have mattered. But because I undercut the pine for the F holes, it left a void there. So, like, I'm still making mistakes, but, you know, like, that repair, it's not as clean as I want, but at the same time, like, I could have said nothing.
I think you're being a bit tough on yourself.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same.
Yeah, no, I am. And when I used to work with pine heaps, the ex-wife goes, you know, you're making guitars out of pine, they're not going to be perfect. I'm like, yeah, probably. But I'd still want to, you know, get them as good as I can get them.
It wasn't until I sort of started building guitars that, you know, because you obviously know the things that you're not happy with or something that doesn't quite work out. And then, you know, after I'd made a few, then I looked at my existing guitars a bit more critically, just for things like, you know, the fretboard, you know, the markers, how straight they were. And I was quite surprised on, you know, expensive guitars that I've got that you look, you know, down the fretboard and the fret markers aren't exactly in the middle of the two middle strings, and you kind of think, well, yeah. And, you know, I'm sort of, and these are, you know, American-made Fender guitars that you think they would get it everything straight, and they're not exact sometimes.
I struggle getting straight holes on the fretboard. Big time. And like, I've got a Jazzmaster template with the center line, and it's even got the holes for the fret markers. And I made a telly, which I'll show in a second too, but they didn't end up straight. So a lot of the time I'll use, if I do fret markers, I'll use like the side dots, because it seems, because they're not as big, you don't notice it, they're not as straight as much.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen like Ty's doing it on one at the moment where it's not a dot in the middle, it's like a rectangle almost that comes in from the top edge of the fretboard. I like things like that.
He does a lot, like a rectangle one on the 12th a lot.
Yeah.
He's such a good dude, Ty is.
Yeah.
Ask him a question. Like, I was asking him a question about battery powered bloody sanders yesterday. He's like, oh, I've got a little router that I use for binding that's battery powered, and the brushes was going in my orbital, and I was like, I'm going to get a battery powered one. So I went back to Bunnings to get a battery powered sander. Come home, look at the receipt. I picked up the wrong one. Like, I didn't know the cheap brand would have 2 battery powered bloody orbital sanders.
That's great. For those of you that don't know, Ty is Shock the Fox, who's on Corey's shirt there. And also, I didn't say this earlier on, but Corey's been mentioning his Instagram and YouTube. I've put links to all of them in the description to this video, as I have with Dave, Arran's and mine as well. So do go follow and check him out. But yeah, I think that kind of attention to detail that you're talking about, and the way you're undercutting in the F-holes, that's something you get with a boutique builder that you definitely don't get, I think, with factory-made guitars, which is why, Arran, you're seeing those inconsistencies that you think you shouldn't at that level. I think it's crazy. It's crazy to me that those guitars can be that expensive because of the name, and people won't really look at boutique builders much because of the name. Not having
I know. Even like it was a cheap one, because I'm a school teacher, as many would know. One of our music department have got it's a Squire Telecaster Affinity or Strat, and the trem was playing up, and it needed a bit of work done for it. So rather than them paying for someone to do it, I just took it home to have a look. And yeah, inside the trem, the actual block was rubbing on the side of the guitar body. And you kind of think, if they're cutting bodies from CNCs, how do you get that wrong where the block of the trem is rubbing up against the side of the guitar so it can't move all the way. And then even under, because Strats have got the fretboard sort of overhanging over the pick guard, and the router cut there, it was it was like there was a bit of the neck sticking out like under the fretboard as well, and just these little tiny things that whatever they were using was a couple of mil out on these two kind of parts. It's like, is this on the thousands of guitars that were made set up this way?
Yeah, Squires would have a smaller trem block too. Like they wouldn't have a big trem block. So
I
think
I can't remember exactly, but it wasn't like just a little bit, it was a lot. And because it might, I just got a rasp and just filed out like a semicircle sort of a bit on the side, which didn't look that neat, but it's in the trem cavity, so you don't see it at all, and it was fine after that. But yeah, things like that were quite surprising.
Yeah, Leo used to use business cards to shim the neck pockets. Like just to get a bit of angle on them or whatever. Like the actual Telecaster headstock, like the neck was made out of a single piece, and that's why the headstock's the size it is because that's all he had. Like that's the timber that he had. It's like, okay, we'll do this little thing that looks like a blob sort of thing.
I mean, let's face it, the old guitars, which must have been handmade, a lot of them, are the ones that are really, expensive these days and prized to get. And I mean, they must have a lot of flaws on them when you really look closely at them, But dust and glue sorts it out, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, I was surprised last week when Jesse from Jaybird was saying when he worked at Gibson, the high-end guitars, which I was under the impression for some of the really expensive high-end guitars, they were partly like that because they were built by one luthier all the way through. He said they're not. They're just built exactly the same as the other ones on the factory line, just with maybe different parts, different pieces in it. And it's just surprising to know that when you're paying that much money for something that is, you think, had more effort put into it, or as he was saying, sometimes Gibson would say they're hand or traditionally built, but they're just built in the CNCs. They're built in the same way as the modern ones. It's just, I don't know, disappointing. I went into a guitar shop near me last week for the first time in years. I haven't really been into a shop looking at guitars for ages. I've seen guitars at shows, but at shows I tend to just stop at the boutique builders things. And there were a couple of guitars where I liked the finish on them, but most of them I found very uninspiring. But Schecter had a whole load of different guitars on display that were brilliant. And I can't tell you what it was about those that was different, but they just felt much or looked like better quality guitars than all the others. I don't know if it's the finish they were using or the design of them. They're just, I couldn't quite pinpoint why I liked them. So I need to look into them as a company more.
Finishing's hard. Like, I'll go through whether I want to use acrylic, like spray paint, for the clear coat, or oil, or just different finishes. Like, I'll come back, like I'll use oil on something, and then I'll come back later and I'll have a look, and I'm just like, it just doesn't feel good now. Like, I've been trying Walrus oil, the furniture oil, and it's great on necks. So I wouldn't use it on bodies, because if you stain it, it takes a lot of the stain out. And I don't like doing gloss finishes, because you have to level sand and buff and everything, and I don't have that set up. So if I do anything, it's matte or satin. And like, I do it all in here too, so I'm surprised I don't have dust everywhere in the finishes and that.
Yeah, I've got to do a guitar at the moment. I'm refinishing one for a mate that we stripped back all the colour and plugged a few the pickup holes, and it'll just have a single P90 in the bridge. So I'm sort of getting to the stage that, well, you're just waiting on the pickup, and then we'll route that new spot. But that's going to be a nitro finish, but just out of a can, because I'm the same as you. I don't have a spray set up and haven't really done that before. So it's learning experience for me, and it's sort of a little bit daunting. But it's all those little things about dust getting around and spraying it right, and all of the wet sanding. Just sort of scares me a little bit, and that's why I kind of like the wipe on oil and wipe on poly finishes. That anything I can avoid having to wet sand and know that if you put lots of thin coats and then you just have to do a nice fine sand at the end and then a buff if you want. They're kind of the finishes that I kind of like doing.
Quick rub with steel wool or something, and then put the last one on or something.
Yeah, it just shows off the the texture of the wood rather than changing it too much.
Yeah, that's why I like natural, like, because you can, I don't know, I like contrast in wood. Like, I got bored started a week because I've been waiting on parts, and had this idea of sandwiching stuff together. And this is heavy as all buggery, but I haven't finished it or nothing, but I just wanted to see like that middle layer for it top and have a big bevel on it and everything, and heavy. A lot of what I do is from boredom, really. Like, I'm waiting to go back to work after all the shit that I've had going on, and it's like, oh, what can I do now? And then like I'll have an idea for a neck, and it'll keep me up until 2 o'clock in the morning, which my Yerg's Cup build. Oh, this is heavy too. But,
that sounds beautiful.
I love it.
Sorry. Okay.
I was going to say, I just love the blue on it and the way it blends into the wood. It on the camera when you're holding it up there, because it's a bit blurry. I'll find a picture of it in a moment. It almost looks like clouds, the wood going into a blue sky. It looks amazing.
That was a really nice piece of burl, and I had to keep adding epoxy to it to try to get it level. And like this top bit up here, it's got way too much epoxy on it. And I had this idea to do the F-holes with like to round them after I put the resin in there to make like a piece of binding in there, because I've bound F-holes before and they're a pain in the ass. So this piece of burl is really nice. Took the volume knob off for another guitar, I think. And I just wanted to do something different with the pickups, so I did cigar box pickups. And the F-holes, and there's like a little, oh shit, there's like a little heart right where my finger is. That's got LEDs in it, so it lights up when I have the batteries in there.
Oh, right.
But this was like the whole idea was to use stuff that was pretty cheap too. I got the big key thing off Temu, and it's a piece of shit. Got these little on-off switches.
Yeah.
Flame maple fretboard, blue binding on that. Bought the tuners, painted them blue. The headstock turned out pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, the neck that Dave was talking about before.
Yeah, it's amazing neck.
That's 449 pieces, individual pieces of wood.
The detail is incredible.
But
Really?
what I did was I made up basically 2 neck blanks and 15 laminations across with veneer in between most of the, like, every second layers. And I love contrast, so you know, I put the veneers in there, and then I cut the scarf off 2 of these neck blanks on one. Well, cut the scarf on one of the neck blanks, and then I cut every other piece down to about fretboard thickness, and then I glued a veneer or 2 between the first scarf and then the next tile, and then just kept going and going and going. And then I was keeping count, but with the neck taper, you lose some. And then the end of the headstock, you probably can't get in the light. The edges are end grain from the offcuts as well.
Yeah, right.
And it just looked really cool.
You've got a fantastic transition between the neck and the back of the headstock there, and that's something I always struggle with. That it looks so, you know, it looks like it's all organic. It's all part of the same thing. Amazing.
Okay, do you want me being tough on myself? When I cut the neck, I cut a bit too skinny, like the bandsaw wandered a bit, and I exposed like the truss rod a little bit, like up in this part here.
Yeah.
So I ended up gluing it straight back on without leveling off the cuts or the like cut from the kerf of the blade. Fucking that. And I just glued it straight back on and it worked straight away. And you wouldn't know it's there unless I pointed it out.
It looks brilliant. I mean, it's just I just love because I always do a scarf joint on the headstock. I always join the headstock with the scarf joint, basically because it doesn't use so much wood, and it's just getting that smooth transition between the neck and then the headstock, and that looks beautiful what you've done there.
It worked out all right.
Yeah,
I couldn't do
really good.
I couldn't do a volute. I remember I was streaming one day and I asked Neil, who's in the chat, Mick, who's in the chat, like, and Brad, I think, Bernard. We call him Brad Bernard Bob, like, because he has a different name on every bloody platform you talk to him on.
I thought it was Brett.
Brad DB Guitars. He's just got that many aliases. It's not funny. But like I was doing I was carving a neck, and I'm like, how'd you do the friggin' volutes? And then they actually told me so.
Right. Yeah. I've given up with volutes. just get them in the wrong place.
One of your guitar build-off ones, Dave. I think it was it the Hummingbird one? Honey Eater? Or?
I don't know. Hang on.
It's the one with the pickups underneath the body, I think.
This one.
I can't see because of the videos.
I think that's the one. Yeah,
it's the one. Yeah, with the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, had a different wood in the.
Yeah, that's right. Because I was trying to be a bit clever with the neck.
That's I love that contrast, and I think that's what sort of set me off on doing multi-laminate necks with the contrast in the scarves and that.
Oh right, yeah.
And
but it's just getting that joint without it being obvious, and yeah, that's what you achieve, and I do struggle with that.
What I try to do with the scarves too is when I do a scarf, I don't try to have it so it's hidden. I prefer to accentuate it and put a bit of contrasting timber in there just so you know there's a scarf there. Because even when you flip over the piece of wood, like the grain's going to be running different anyway, so it's going to be a little bit noticeable.
Yes.
But I had this idea for scarves to go one way and then have one, then rejoin it and have it go have it cross over in the middle.
Right.
And I tried that. It didn't really work. But the neck's been sitting around for ages. It comes up in Facebook stories because it's been sitting around for so long. This is how ready I am. I did the see how the joint. There's a couple of scarves in the neck and they go opposite directions.
Oh right.
Oh yeah.
I don't. Oh
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So I tried to do that, and then I had to put another fingerboard underneath because by the time you level it all off, you need thicker stock to do it as well.
Right.
Because if you start too thin, you level it off, and then by the time everything's level, it's too thin to start off with. So, I make them oversized now to make sure I can get the thickness out of them that I want straight up rather than having to add another piece of wood to it.
It's back to what I said before. I'm amazed that you're not from a woodworking background, because I just see you such interesting experimental things, really. Things you don't see on other guitars. Things you definitely wouldn't see on a factory guitar.
Honestly, I don't see any. If someone else wants to do a 450-piece neck, they can have a go at it.
We'll leave
It's
it
at
to you.
least a week just in gluing it up. And the weather's got to be really warm so the glue sets quicker than normal. And yeah.
You can obviously visualize though, how it's going to come together. Because I know when, for a lot of these, when we've sort of texted, you're explaining to me how you're doing it or in the chat or whatever, and it's not until I see it on your videos that it's like, oh, yeah, that kind of makes sense, that how all the wood goes together and then what it's going to look like when it's all exposed.
Well, I was talking to someone the other day, I can't picture stuff in my mind when I close my eyes. I know there's some, it's called a phantasm or something. And apparently it's not that, it's sort of rarish, but apparently you have I can dream and I can have really vivid dreams and stuff, but I can't picture stuff in my mind. I have to see it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's, is that Ray who said?
Yeah. A Fantasia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, he has it as well, he said.
I have ideas and I go, okay, yeah, that should turn out all right. But until I see it, I don't know whether it will or not.
It's funny that you and Ray both have it, and you both make things that have quite ornate, complicated patterns.
Yeah, I don't know how bored Ray
Maybe it's
is.
a disadvantage being able to try and picture it. Get too confused.
Yeah. It's probably if you can picture it, you'll probably go, no, it's probably not worth the time.
Yeah.
But
Ray's going to be on our show in a couple of weeks' time as well.
Maybe that's why you're building it, because you want to picture it when you can't see it, sort of in your mind.
I can get it out of my head. But that neck on the Yerg's Cup build, that honestly, I was watching the podcast and I was like, you know what, I need to go to sleep. It's about midnight, 12:30 or something. Go to sleep, and then I had this thought. You know what you should do? You should do this checkerboard thing with multi-laminates and multi-veneers. And then I was up until 2:00 thinking about it. And it's but I don't know. I don't know about Ray, but as you said, Arran, because I can't picture it, it's probably okay, well, I've got to do it to see what it actually looks like.
Yeah.
So, we're a few of us are going to be doing tellies soon, Telecasters, as cheap as you can do it. And I had an idea, I've always wanted to do an end grain body or an end grain top.
Yep.
Right.
I've finished one of them, and then I thought, let's see how good end grain goes on the neck. And everybody's like, no, it's going to crumple, it's going to fold up, it's going to do this. So I've routed strips in there to put the truss rod in, so it's not all end grain. Then I did that with the carbon fibre, and then there's a little bit of epoxy here and there. And last week I had it hanging up. Daniel's shown some pictures where I hang up the guitar and it's got my logo behind it. It was hanging up on that hanger, and out of all the guitars I've got in my room, the Yerg's Cup and that Telecaster is the one I wouldn't want to accidentally bump. And this one fell from about 7 or 8 foot over the top of an amp onto the ground, and the neck's fine on it.
Amazing. I wasn't sure where you were going there.
Oh yeah, I can ramble and talk shit a lot. So, but yeah, Ty. I think Ty's going to do like it's a cheap telly for the Yerg's Cup, but just gluing the body on that the top, because it's not a full body. That took a fair while to do.
Wow.
And then I had this really nice piece of burl for the fretboard. I had to glue another piece behind that to try to stiffen it up. And then the neck is strung up with 8s. But that's all end grain.
Wow.
And
fantastic.
Yeah, it's again boredom. But I was cutting the headstock out, and the little insert where the blade comes out of, it's got a big hole in it, and it's grabbed it, and it's snapped the headstock right off at the end of this tuner here. So I ended up putting a scarf joint in and just use that as like a headstock sort of veneer, like the rest of the thing. But that took a 8 foot, 7 foot drop, and like it's fine.
Wow.
Which I've been worried, like, as I said, I strung it with 8 to 38 strings, and it still needed a bit of adjustment with the neck truss rod to get it to be straight. But yeah, a lot of stuff comes from boredom, and because I've got time to do it, and you know, I've got scraps, and I keep scraps for too long, and it's just. Yeah,
I mean, they're really unique guitars. They are, aren't they? I mean, you should be selling them, Corey, because I mean, I would have thought they're really sought after, those sort of things. You just can't buy that sort of stuff, can you?
Yeah, I don't think the warranty on an end grain neck would be too good though. Because
well, if you can drop it, it's all right.
it held up to that drop, but you know, I don't know how it dropped because I was in another room.
Right.
Well, it could have just dropped onto the the strap button.
Right. Even so.
But yeah, like I don't think I could sell the Yerg's Cup one because that's got too much meating.
Yeah.
Being the first one, and you know, we want to do that every year. The Telecaster thing, if we do a challenge on that, it's just going to be like a quick as you can, cheap as you can sort of thing. And yeah, a lot of boredom.
I do agree with Dave. There's so many of the or we can talk actually about the Guitar Builders Collective. There's so many guitars I see that you repost on the Instagram and that we see in the Guitar Builders Collective forum and on the Facebook page that are so interesting and so well built and so different to what you can buy off the shelf that I know people are building them all for different reasons, and not everyone has to build them to sell, but it is a shame that there isn't more of a market or more people aren't aware of them because they're just more interesting. The more interesting things that can be out there, the better, I think. And it's just a shame that people want to get a red strap or whatever it is you want to buy.
Yeah, personally, like I live in a town that's got a population of 5,000 people, I think. It's pretty tiny and it's rural, and you know, to get good timbers, you have to go really looking for them or buy them online. And for a while there, I thought there's not going to be that many people that want a guitar from someone who hasn't got much of a name or a reputation to do it. So for ages, I was like, I'd put the odd one up on market and then get like, you know, put $400 on it and then, oh, would you take 300?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, I might have been using cheap components and everything, but at the same time, like, I never, knowing how much to charge for your time and your like the labor and the parts and everything, like I still struggle with that. And
Yeah, no, it's demoralizing when you think about it in the charging for the time that you've done. Because, like I said, if we're not Fender, we don't have a name that's big enough to justify those massive amounts of money. But it's not just the time; it's the experience that goes into the time. You can't charge for it that properly.
see, when I finally get back to work too, like my time's going to be more valuable
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, right.
Like I have heaps of spare time now. Like I'll happily spend 6 hours out in the shed, unless it's too bloody hot. But you know, I'll happily spend time out here, get a body pretty much routed by the end of the day, and you know, crank them out. Like I could crank them out quick, like I could, but at the same time, like this has got no insulation in it, so it's like a sauna in summer. But going back to the collective, like a lot of that's just I'll scroll, I'll see something, because it's all like I haven't looked at anything apart from guitars on that account, so everything that gets suggested is either woodworking or guitars, and I'll see something cool like there's a page called Well Guitars with WEL Guitars, and they do stuff that's really, really cool. So I'll share their posts, get a thank you, and then they do something else really cool. I'll hit follow, then they come up straight away now. A lot of people will inbox me like their post to share, and I'll do it, get a thank you, which is nice. Like, it's not about me, it's about spreading. We're all in it together. That's the way I see it. I had a chat with a guy called Hunter, and he's at 4X Guitars, and we were just chatting last night about stuff, and it's like, oh, thanks for what you guys do and everything. It's like, mate, we're all in this together. Like, there's no point having an ego or not try to help each other out, I don't think, anyway. So they're like, oh, thanks for sharing it. Like, I appreciate people thanking me for sharing stuff, but at the same time, it's like 4 button clicks. But if I don't get it, I'm a bit like, well, a bit rude.
I'm just looking at the thing now, and it occurs to me that actually I like Instagram stories personally, and a lot of the sharing you do is that you share it to the story more than anything else.
Yeah, I share to the stories, and I get a lot of likes on there, and a lot of likes or a reaction, and then like I'll get the note. Sorry, a little spider coming along. I'll get because of the secondary account, I'll still get a lot of notifications about people liking the story and everything, which is, it's nice, but at the same time, it's not my work. I prefer them to go to the person's account, click on them, click like of the post, and give them a follow if you're not following them, sort of thing.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's
but
the way I
do a lot of work for it.
Yeah, it's not about me. It's about, well, we've got the community, so it's all about the community. Like, it's all about other people and showing, like whether you're wherever you are in the world or whatever, you might be on your first build and like have someone share it, and it's like, I know that means a lot and everything, and at the same time, like, if you've done something really nice, like, you deserve a bit of praise for the work you've done.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's very kind of you to do all that, Corey. Very humble of you. I think it is, as somebody that likes looking at guitars, just following the account and seeing on the stories all the different other people's appearing is brilliant. And then you can just click on them and go to their page and follow them as well. So it's a great way to introduce you to other guitar builders.
Yeah.
And then
so there's more followers on that account than there is on my account. So I said, I remember when it was like, oh, okay, we're up to 500 now, and I think I was up to 600 followers on my own account. I'm like, if this ever gets over 1,000, I'm just going to swap the names. People that notice. And I wouldn't do that. It's just like, well, it's there. Whenever I look at my phone, I used to go, okay, yeah, I've got to share this, I've got to share this. And I've wound down the amount that I share on there now. It's like, okay, I'll have a scroll in the morning. I'll look at messages. If people send me stuff, I'll share them. And I might have another look later on down the track. But at the same time, like, yeah, like, I don't want to be looking at my phone all day.
Yeah,
you've got to. There's got to be a limit, doesn't there? That because you could spend every waking hour of the day just sharing and looking for things. So I think it's getting that balance. And I know that when a few years ago, when a few of us had talked about these different ideas or whether it was the website or the Instagram or the Facebook, they've just really taken off in a lot of forms. And I use Instagram a lot more than Facebook. I really don't look at Facebook too much, but when I do, there's always cool information there as well.
Yeah, the Facebook group started with Brad from BB Guitars.
Yep.
He kept going, oh, we need to do, like, I'd chat to him on there, and he's like, oh, we need to do Facebook group. And I said, well, if you want to do Facebook, mate, you start it. And then he made me an admin, so I end up, when there's a chat, like I didn't share tonight's chat because I knew it was more about me, and it's about the Oaks Cup too, but at the same time, I didn't want to go, well, I'm on the podcast now. How good am I? Sort of thing. So I didn't share that one tonight. But, like I did the story because Daniel sent me the story last night for tonight, and or today, wherever you are. But like I put up a post the other day. I said, oh, look, we're talking about the Oaks Cup. This was on Instagram. I said, inbox me your builds, which I've sent to Daniel. So we'll have a look at them a little bit later. And then our buddy Tyler from TP Guitars, he inboxed my personal account with pictures of his Oaks Cup. And then we had Neil message me on Facebook with his thing. Well, dude, read the fucking instructions. It would have been nice to have them all in the one spot, because then all I'd have to do is go forward to Daniel's Instagram.
Yeah.
Where I had to, what I ended up doing was forwarding to my Instagram and then my Instagram to Daniel's, and then I just used Messenger for the one that was on Facebook.
Annoyingly, I might have a bit of difficulty sharing some of them. I'm not sure all of them are. So I'm just looking at them to share, and on Instagram it's saying they're unsupported on the computer. I have to the photos show on my phone, but not on the computer. Okay. We'll get to that in a minute. I just wanted to say about the Facebook group is I appreciate you and Brad are on it all the time, but when I just scrolled through it, then you can see it's what I like about it is it's quite discussion based. So people talking about not just their builds, but questions they have about how to do things, and sharing their tools they bought and sort of just how excited they are.
Yeah. If you have a look at the actual posted builds, probably most of it's me at this stage, which is fine. Like, we've got a lot of people in there that don't live on Facebook, I guess. Like you shouldn't live on Facebook anyway, but there'll be questions on there. There was one about truss rods the other day for shorter scale neck and just stuff that, like, I think with the group on there, you can ask a question and you could probably get a reply within 10 minutes at most.
Yeah.
And it's really helpful, that sort of stuff. You could be looking on Google for half a day and still not find the answer that you need.
And it's it's grown a lot, the group, but it's nice, friendly atmosphere there as well.
I think last night it was up to 898 people, I think.
Oh, it was just over 900.
I was going to have a look today, but I played golf and then I started talking to old people and that. So
it's 901 now.
Okay.
Again, links are in the description to this video if anyone wants to join it. But yeah, like Owen just said in the chat, it's great to all these social media places are on point and they're great for someone like him that's more of a beginner to access. But I've said this before, one thing I like about doing the podcast and being part of those groups, although I'm not necessarily that active in the Facebook or the Instagram, is that otherwise I just work on my own. I don't have anyone else to talk to about the guitars and things like that. And it's just a nice environment to have that in. Hey,
my parents live with me. So a lot of the time I'll go in and tell my mum what's going on. And she probably doesn't really care. But the fact that I can verbalise what I'm thinking, like I think Scott, what did Scott call it the other week? It's like using someone for a sounding board, even though you know the response or the like the way it should be done. There was a name on it. I looked it up and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Rubber ducking, that's right. While Mick's name's up there, he was a big part on the Yergs Cup shirts as well. So when we had the idea, they're all out of the shop. Sorry.
No, that's what we always like here. It's a proper conversation.
I can be very random. Like all of a sudden, I could just say something, and then like, okay, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, we were just talking about that like about 5 minutes ago. Like it's not that random.
No, it's not random. I tell you what, you mentioned the Yergs Cup, and I just wonder what are the plans for the Yergs Cup? How is it going to sort of manifest itself? Because it's running April to April, isn't it? Sorry, I've sort of disappeared off the screen. Yeah.
Sorry, April 23rd is when it the first one's finishing.
Right.
And then we're starting again April 24th. It's like we know people work, we know people got families, we got this. Like if you want to come in, build along with us, like you've got a year to do it. So
I think that's a brilliant idea. That's giving people plenty of time to do it is a fantastic.
Yeah. Like I know people struggle with deadlines and everything. Like at the same point too, when we announced this last year, Great Guitar Build Off just started for the year, and we want. I know I wanted. I say I and we a lot. I had a fair bit to do with the Yergs Cup because it was just like to me. I guess there's a way to grieve about Yergs, and we wanted to do it. We've been ever since we started the group chat after the first build off. When I think I was like number 5 or 6 that joined. We'd talked about doing a build off and everything, and we're like, well, why don't we do it? Like we were going to do it like a competition, but I think more so we need it for the community because that's what Jürgen was. He was all about the community. And to off our own backs too, like we're making no money out of it. We set up merch like shirts, singlets, jumpers and hoodies. We call them jumpers, but they're sloppy joes or whatever the hell you want to call them. But whatever comes whatever profits off those, what we make, or those shirts on Teespring and that, every bit of the profit goes straight to the Leukemia Foundation, which was the charity that Jurgen's family chose to have donations made to when he passed.
Yeah.
And we make no money out of it, so we can't do it as a competition.
No. Can I be honest with you? I don't like the competitions, because if you're trying to create a community of guitar builders, the one thing that I really felt with the Great Guitar Build Off is that it must be so devastating for those sort of new builders that came in, who sort of at the end of the competition never got a mention, because you put all that effort in, and somehow it's just, I don't know, it must be a real downer. I know a lot of people, I know Scott's mentioned this as well, and I don't think that's an encouraging environment personally. I like the idea of having a challenge, because at the end of the day, it's a personal challenge, isn't it? I mean, a challenge to build a guitar out of what you've got is a challenge that you can do yourself. And if you build a guitar, you've effectively won, haven't you? At the end, you've won for yourself. And so I love that idea of not necessarily picking, the one person out who somebody thinks is the best guitar, because I just think it's a negative for everybody else.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
I think a lot of that comes to, every year sort of been like a popularity contest too, and like the first year with it in the unofficial was Instagram votes and that. And if you had a bigger Instagram following, like, you're going to do better than someone who's only got 200 people on there.
Yeah.
And even every other year, like, you could argue, well, this was the better guitar or that one was the better guitar. There was no real general. There was no consensus of who was like the out and out winner.
No.
And at the same time, like, what you build, like, you end up being really proud of it, and like, it can cause resentment and everything, I think, as well. Like, oh well, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's. I think having it community based is the way to go, because, as I said, there's no money in it for us.
No,
it's all going to charity. Each year we would like people to make donations. It doesn't have to be to the Leukemia Foundation. It can be to any charity. It just to be like, just have a positive thing on it, make like, and people are like, well, do I buy a shirt or do I do this? And it's like, well, if you want to make a sizable donation, like if you want to make a donation that's more than $10 or whatever, that's up to you. But with the shirts, we're only making about $10 for each donation. Like, that was the markup I put on them, was $8 to $10. I think maybe it was $10 for the hoodies and that, and then $8 for the shirts. Where, like, people will go, oh, well, this is a nice cause, I'll put $20 here or whatever.
And I know when we talked about initially, how formal we sort of wanted it to be, and that's what we kind of said. It's really an honesty thing, that you don't have to send your money to someone to donate or whatever. It's like, if you want to be involved, we'll just trust you to donate what you can to a charity or buy a T-shirt, and you'll be involved that way. So, and I think part of it was the idea for our initial conversations was encouraging people to get involved that mightn't have built before, without really the need for making a lot of social media stuff about it, that you could have a go at building a guitar as a new builder if you wanted, and you didn't have to go and buy expensive fancy $400 quilted tops and things that and if you wanted to do that, you'd be supported by a lot of people that were in the same situation, or have have got some ideas to share.
I know Barry Christian.
Oh yeah,
The guitar he's doing, that's his first build.
amazing. Yeah,
And there's like other people that are like really new to it and everything. And at the start, like we did it like a competition because we thought, okay, well that might get more people in to may possibly donate and to get I don't know, maybe a bit more interest into it, because I'd love to. Ideally, it'd be nice to do one every year, but we won't know until what happens in that year.
yeah.
So do you know how many people? Sorry, Daniel.
I was going to say we don't know how many people are doing it, but what I'm really hoping that I can help with, because obviously Corey's doing all the Instagram already, is I think it would be brilliant if at the end of this year, the April 23rd, any time after that, get people to just send some images and a little description of their guitar. And I'm very happy to give up a day or two and on the Instagram page post. So one post will be one person's guitar with like how many photos they want, 5, 6, 1 if they want, little description. And then people can look at that post, they'll see that guitar, they'll see who put it up because we'll tag them. And then you can go and follow that person, you can interact with them, you can comment on it, you can be really supportive, just like Jürgen was, really, that sort of commenting thing, so that at the end of it, whereas with the Great Guitar Build-Off, everyone was getting lost because you had to go to so many different pages to see everyone's work. Here you can just, on the on the Guitar Builders Collective, you'll see everyone's work, even if it's not finished, and it would just be a chance for everyone to start interacting again with each other. And that's probably how we'll find out who's done it this year. And I'm positive that doing something like that as well will help spread the word a bit. With this podcast, I've got a few ideas to try and spread the word on that a bit, and that will always tie in because we'll always be mentioning the competition. So hopefully it'll grow. But the whole point of it is just to grow a supportive community, really.
Yeah, and to honour our mate.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And sorry, you're going.
No, I was going to say, and then, you know, some people have said they wanted to buy a shirt. Some people can't haven't got money to spend on things. But like you said, Corey, you can donate in the way you want. And if you're also interacting with others and being part of the community, then that is fantastic too. But, you know, some people can donate when they can throughout the year. You don't have to put up a £50 initial fee to then send all your details to someone and do that.
The way at the start it was like, let's donate to charity, and then it's like, you know what, it's about the community. Just if you want to build along. And you know, like there's still going to be people donate each year. Like I'm planning on donating each year, and each year that we can do it anyway. But we want to do, like, there was one, I think next year we might do like a Chipson sort of challenge, but it doesn't mean people have to do it. They can just build along as well, because it's not a competition. Like like the idea with the Chipson one was, there's a Chipson USA account on Instagram, and they have all these wacky sort of ideas. So whether someone builds a Strat and a Tele hybrid body sort of thing,
like that,
just the crazy sort of things, like, and you know, at the end of it, you do whatever you want to do with the guitar. If you want to donate it to charity or whatever, or sell it or make profit from it, it's totally up to you. But I think early on there was a lot of people not sort of looking into the initial post that I put up.
Well, you know, there was,
you got to do this and you got to do that. And it's like, no, it's like, if you want to.
Yeah.
Big difference. It's not a dictatorship. Like, you know, I might have a fair bit to do with it, but when we first started, like before we did, before I put the post up about the initial post with the Jürgs Cup, I talked to Ty, I talked to Chris Franklin, I talked to Arran, I talked to everyone like in the group and said, what do you think about this? And they're like, yep, keep that. Well, you know, Yerg's Cup, Yerg's champion for this year.
Yeah.
It was actually Mick again who said, why not call it the Yerg's Cup? I'm certain. It was either Mick or Ty. It was nearly a year ago. So, you know, like there was an idea of getting like a little trophy made up when we thought it was going to be a competition. But yeah, like as Dave said, like it's a challenge. You challenge yourself. You get people in the building. If it's not a competition, it's going to be less formal, and you might get more first-time people doing it without worrying about how they're going to perform in the whole thing, I guess.
Yeah. The other thing about a competition, based on the conversations we had with Crimson and them running, how much work it was for them running the Great Guitar Build-Off, it is a lot of work. And as soon as you start introducing rules, you can't please everyone.
No.
So, like you're saying, Corey, here's a suggestion. Here's a theme as a suggestion. But if you want to do something else, that's fine. It's just an excuse to join the community. And as you say, honour Yergs, even if people didn't know him, lots of people did. I mean, it might grow so much that people, hopefully, will be lots of new builders coming in as well. We'll see.
Yeah, well, there's been people who had no idea who Jurgen was, and they're like, I'm doing this to honour our friend's friend, pretty much.
Yeah.
So cool. Like, you know, like, it just goes to show, like, how much a few little words on a screen can mean to people.
Yeah.
Like, how supportive he was. He was always positive. He pretty much watched every video. He's like Scott during Guitar Build-Off. Like, Scott watched every video. Where I'd definitely watch what my mates were doing first. And then I'd go through and maybe watch, I don't know, 4 or 5 people who I hadn't heard of before. Like, there was no way I could watch all those videos. Like,
I tell you, it brings back memories, because there was a guy, I think it was Alpine Heights, I think, and it was him in a workshop. He was I think a joiner. He got a huge workshop, but he had his 2 kids with him, and his videos were a real great laugh. I mean, his guitar at the end was really good. He was a first-time builder. But I forget which one it was, whether it was the first or the second one. But I mean, it really was. It was fun to watch. But you're right. There's so many videos out there to try and keep up with. What I wanted to say very quickly, what I thought was really good about the Yergs challenge was the fact that you decided to do a use what you've got challenge, because I really enjoyed doing that when Chris Franklin and Chris Hatton and co came up with it originally.
Yeah, we were in the first one.
It was a great idea, that was, and you know, I made my guitar out of a fence. It's still on the wall. It still works. But yeah, that was a fantastic idea, and I think it reflected what Jurgen did. I mean, he from what I've seen of his work, he was always experimenting. I mean, he was doing that Acoustasonics guitar and that sort of stuff. So he was trying new stuff as well, wasn't he? I mean, so it sort of encapsulates his attitude towards guitar building, which is really good. And keep it simple is the answer. You know, keep all these things simple.
That was one of the things when we talked about that. You know, what's going to take the least effort from everyone to run and to organise it, though. So you actually, people could spend time, you know, building and interacting rather than worrying about rules and what you had to do and who was doing what. And you know, that's sort of what it all sort of comes down to a bit as well.
I did a few streams and I built like this big baritone ukulele sort of thing with a guitar sort of scale, and that was going to be my Yergs Cup build. The wood on the back of that Telecaster, I glued that up for Yergs Cup. I did a couple of live streams where I was like, okay, well, this is the Yerg's Cup thing. And then when I finally did the blue guitar, like, I had to buy a fair bit of stuff for that because I used it on other stuff. And then I thought, you know what, like, I could use what I got, but at the same time, that neck was inspired by what Jurgen said. So I just decided to go batshit crazy with it.
So you're about 5 years ahead of us for your Yerg's Cup entries then.
No. I'm only, if it was a competition, I'd only put the one in.
Yeah.
But you know, like I was doing live streams and I was probably getting more people watching overall on the live streams than if I put a video out. And with the videos, like I did the videos. Normally I used to high speed everything, not do too many voiceovers, and have like, you know, generic sort of rock metal sort of music over the top of them. And then Gio from Tornelli said you should show a few processes each time. And I'm like, okay. And then it was like, okay, well, I still want to show everything I've done, but at the same time, I don't have to do any more than 8 times speed, and then I can talk over the top of it, use a bit of workshop noise. There's a telly. I've got a video for the telly, which I'll probably put up after this is done. And I changed again how I edit the videos. So I went from down all the body being cut out, and I'm like, well, I don't need to show all that. There's like what Mark's been saying when he's been on. He's like, you don't need to have it running the whole time.
Yeah.
And I think like, so what I'll do now is like, I'll cut out a bit of the waste on the body, and then it's like, okay, well, that'll do. Routing the truss rod channel, I'll do one pass with like the 6mm part of the rod, and then maybe one pass with the bit that's a bit thicker with the router. I'll do that. Instead of showing 20 clamps go on the guitar, I'll show 1 or 2. And it's just freed up so much. And at the same time, it's like, well, I can fit nearly a whole build in one or 2 videos now.
Yeah, I mean, my personal view in watching your videos, Corey, I love it when you're describing what you're doing, and I don't think you need to see the whole thing, as long as you know, because you're telling us a story at the end of the day, and as long as you're showing enough clips just to show us that story, then you know it carries me along. You know, it's really enjoyable.
The reason I never did voiceovers was because there's more people who's more qualified to tell you this is how I do it and this is why you should do it, sort of thing.
Yeah, I disagree.
with guitars, like it's like, you know, oh, there's no rules in rock and roll and that. It's like Chris Franklin built a bloody neck out of OSB. You know, like people, oh, tone with this, tone with that. Like you'll hear a bit of a demo from the pine telly that's made out of end grain when I put it up. Like it still sounds like a guitar.
Yeah.
It's like the way I say it is like, I think I posted me neck on one of the forums or one of the Facebook groups. Like, oh wow, we're going to see what glue sounds like. It's like, yeah, there's a heap of glue. Oh, it was on the My Les Paul forum. It's like, oh, so you used a lot of glue and a bit of wood.
Well, one thing that I'd say about the Guitar Builders Collective is people, if they say that, they're joking.
Yeah.
Whereas there, it just sounds like someone's being very degrading for no reason.
You can say that to someone, you know.
Yeah.
And it was someone that, like, that's where I got started with building. When I built my first guitar, I'd go on My Les Paul forum. And they had this spot called Luthier's Corner, and you had people like Sully from Sully's Guitars, like Scott talks about him a fair bit. Like he's from Texas or something. You got Freddie from Freddie's Frets on YouTube. He used to tech for Alex Lifeson from Rush.
Right. Nice.
And you'd ask him a question, he'd take his time, he'd answer you. And like it was really good. And then there's this one guy who lives down near Arran, and he made the comment about the glue and so he used a lot of glue and a bit of wood. He was like, "Yeah, mate, you haven't changed at all, have you?" And this was like 12 years ago when I thought he was a bit of a knob. I got started there, and then I started making guitars before I heard about Crimson and everything. And I got a lot of my tutelage from that forum. And I didn't have the silly ideas that I got now.
While I'm thinking of it, I can put up in advance which guests we're having on this live stream when I schedule the live streams, but there's a limit to how far in advance I can go. And we're going to have Corey back. I think we've agreed this.
In June, wasn't it?
It was going to be 4th of July, because that's in the middle of Aaron's holidays, so we could do it again at this time because this is the time that works for Corey.
Yeah.
So that I think by then we will have been, a couple of months since this round of the Jurgs Cup's finished. We'll have lots of photos that hopefully we would have shared on the Instagram. So we'll dedicate that episode to looking back on what's happened the first year and getting excited about the second year and things like that. So hopefully by that point, there will be some people that have already thought about starting. I know there were some people that, like Jackson from Big Unit said that he didn't know about the Jurgs Cup until very recently. So he was just going to wait till the next round to sort of join in. I think that's the case with a few people.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful it will just carry on, even if it just carries on with us all building brilliant. I'm hopeful it will become something that we're all quite excited about.
Yeah. I felt bad with Jackson because like I knew him through Guitar Build Off, and a lot of the people I'd follow on the Builders Collective Instagram was originally people from the Build Off, and he was one person that like there was a lot of people from the Build Off that I didn't manage to follow, and then like before he came on, I was like, oh crap, Big Unit, I forgot about him.
Well, I wasn't insinuating he didn't know because of you, Corey.
Yeah, but if he was there from like, he's done the last couple of build-offs. Like I could have, like he could have been there because he would have seen what we've been doing, sort of thing. But while I think of it, the Jurgs Cup video playlist on YouTube, that's up over 100 videos on that. Beth used
Patrick
a lot of them are Dave's or mine.
Yeah.
But Chris Haddon, he was on it. He's done a build series. Chris Franklin, Ryan from Afterlife Guitars.
Yep.
Which I haven't heard from him in a while, so I hope he's all right.
Yeah, I hope so too. I messaged him but didn't hear back, unfortunately.
Yeah, I messaged him from the collective Instagram and I haven't heard back. It's like I don't know. Like if I haven't heard from someone, I think the worst straight up.
Yeah.
Which like it's not. I don't know. Like Steve Walker, he was one of the first originals for the collective in the group chat.
Yeah.
I'll message him every now and then and go, "Hey Steve, how you going?" And then 2 months later, you go, "Oh, yeah, you going good? Sorry, it's been about 2 months since I actually looked." Or there's people in the group chat that's just, you don't know what's going on with their personal life or whatever. And I don't know. I just think, oh shit, I haven't heard from him. I hope he's okay or she's okay or whatever. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a blessing.
I just want to say I really appreciate it when you do contact me. I know I left the original Guitar Builders Collective group on Instagram, basically because I'm really crap at chatting. I just haven't done it, but I just love keeping in touch, and I do really value, you sending me a message. That's really brilliant. Thank you.
Well, Jesse noticed it the other day, and I'm like, well, I'll message Dave. Like, I seen it about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I said, I'll message Dave a bit later to see whether he's all right. And it gets so busy, like as I said, Steve Walker, he hadn't been in the group for ages, and he said there was 16,000 notifications just for that one group or whatever, because he hadn't checked in a year. And it's like, you turn off notifications as soon as you get in that group.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the messages are really sporadic, or sometimes it's like bang, 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 and it's like, oh, just shut up.
Yeah.
So just so everyone knows, I've linked to this playlist I'm scrolling through in the video description to this stream, and Corey very kindly adds to it whenever someone does a new video, so you can check them out there.
As soon as I said, I go straight over to the collective YouTube and add it straight up. I don't comment as much as I think I should, but at the same time, anything to do with Eric's Cup I watch, sometimes more than once, because it depends on, if I see it early in the morning when I should be sleeping, I'll put it on the TV and then doze off and then go, oh crap, I better watch it again.
Yeah, but I find watching them on the TV, you unfortunately can't comment on them, and sometimes I forget to go back and comment.
Yeah, I cast it from the phone, so you can still.
Ah, right, okay.
But every time Dave would do his upload, I'd be out working in the shed because I hadn't been actually working. I'd go in and I'd watch his video and then come back out, and that bass you made was really, really nice, Dave.
Yeah.
Thank you. I've got a friend, and she watches my videos to go to sleep.
That's always a compliment.
There's a couple of people I could do that with, but I feel bad because sometimes, Neil's been uploading videos again, and by the time I see him, it's too late at night, and I'll chuck it on to give him a view, and hopefully if he ever gets monetized, it helps him out a little bit.
That's the tricky thing with the time difference.
I'll put someone's playlist on it and just let it run overnight, or if I'm outside the house, just to try to bump the views up for them a little bit.
So all those links are there. But before we go, there is a question that we've missed that was asked by Brad in the comments. So, Corey, what is this weird sound at the start of all your videos?
It is a certain word that Australians like to say.
Right, okay.
Some Australians.
It's okay. I was going to put parental advisory on this podcast, but
yeah, I've tried very hard not to swear too much, but at the same time, it's not the nicest swear word you can say.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll leave it there. So,
but that came I had the music. I did a lot of the music on. I did the synthy bass and the drums on. What is it on the iPhone?
GarageBand.
GarageBand, yeah. I did the bass and that on there, and the guitar on it, like just the open strum, is one of those 4 strings.
Ah, nice.
And it's like, oh, this is a bit boring. So Brett from Luther for Builds, he used to do a count of how many times I'd say that particular C word on my stream. So I thought, you know what, I'm bored. I was laid up with I think I had an operation on I had a bowel resection, and then I had hernias after, and I think I was laid up with hernias, and I just went like that, but with the word. Then, okay, yeah, I'll put that on there, and I'll see how far. But it's amazing how many people don't actually know what's said. So I feel like I've snuck one past.
Well, on that note, people
Can
should.
I just show you something really quickly?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh.
But people should go and check out, if you haven't seen Corey's videos, check them out. Also, his Instagram is linked in the description below. Oh, we're going to see the guitar again.
Yeah. That's another burl top.
Oh, I love that. I love the fretboard.
The fretboard is a river table style fretboard.
Oh, that's lovely.
Don't know if you can see it there, but
yeah, that's another one of your experimental ones. That's very cool.
Yeah,
Really
I did Purple River, but the heat got to it and cracked some of it, so I had to fill it with epoxy adhesive. The body, I ended up putting binding down the middle because I book matched it, and then I tried to glue the top together and onto the body at the same time, and there was like a big line of epoxy, so I thought, you know what, I'll stick binding in there, and I'll put some. Yeah, it's turned out all right. The body's pine, accent in the scarf joint again.
Oh, lovely.
But in parts of this, you can see the actual truss rod through the resin.
Oh, right.
Well, that's cool.
I think that's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But a lot of it, I wanted, like, I had to super glue the frets in because with epoxy there was nothing really to bite onto.
Right.
But yeah, I just wanted to show Curtis from Goth Rider. I sent him one of these epoxy river fretboards the other day. So I wanted to show that. There's a video coming. It's a 7-string. I've only routed for a 6-string pickup because I was going to just put an EMG in there to see whether it'd cover the whole 7 strings. And then the other day when I was tidying up, I found the actual 7-string pickup. So I'm just, all I've got to do is just route out the legs a little bit more.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, bought them again, Dave.
And
that body timber only cost me like $7 for the whole plank.
Wow.
Nice.
But yeah, I got another plank there. This is that whole plank cost $7.
Wow.
Where is that from?
That's fine, but
Are you buying that from like a DIY place?
yeah, from Bunnings. It's like the big I don't know what in the UK big hardware sort of chain is over there, but I guess it'd be like Big Box or Home Depot over in America.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, that was $7, and all you got to do is shave off one of the edges, and then you just glue it together, and then
Nice.
like it's wide enough for an Explorer, pretty much. I did have to add like a little bit to it, but yeah. Owen said he misses Brett.
Yeah.
Brett's videos. Yeah, he's a good dude too. He actually bought a guitar off me so we could. My brother's granddaughter died last year, I think it was, or a year before, and they were doing a GoFundMe, and Brett bought a guitar I made so we could donate more to the GoFundMe. So
Oh, amazing.
yeah, No, we've got some good people in this community. So, like Ty and I did a shirt swap, and he sent me 2 guitars as well. So,
Fantastic.
yeah, full of good dudes and dudettes, but I don't really. There's not many of them.
No, unfortunately. And as Ty always says, it's all men with beards.
Yeah,
Arran
I
shaved.
I had a haircut today and I shaved 2 days ago. Otherwise, I would have had quite a longer beard up until recently.
I messaged Ty yesterday and I said, "Hey mate, does a goatee count as a beard?" He goes, "Since it's got a different name, it doesn't count as a beard." And I said, "Well, it's up to Arran and Daniel to represent the beards this week.
The beards.
Unless he's thrown one over the week." Just quickly to Mr. E, who just commented. He's on Instagram as Mr. E, and he's built like this cool little ukulele for the Oaks Cup. So, we'll pop him on the. I'll do a post up on Facebook with people's builds on there too.
Yeah, that'd be cool. All right. We're going to call it a night if that's all right. Corey's back on the 4th of July. I'm assuming the fact that we can do it at this time when Americans are asleep won't be a problem, because on the 4th of July, they're probably doing other things during the day. So they won't miss out, but they can catch it up later. And I'm looking forward to hearing what the new Jörg's Cup idea will be. But I'm looking forward to seeing people's finished stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's going to be Chibson, but we're talking about that because was it Mike from China Guitar Spies? Was that?
Yeah, China Guitars.
He was mates with, like, you knew him, didn't you, Daniel?
A little bit. I've met him a few times. He was such a nice guy. He lived quite close to me.
And Chris Franklin knew him, so we're trying to tie in the Chibson thing with that so we can commemorate him too. Yeah,
well, that's a great idea. It's a great idea.
And as we said before, if people don't want to do a Chibson style guitar, just build along.
Yeah.
Because it's all about supporting each other, I think. So
excellent. Well done.
Great.
Oh, thanks, guys. It's been great.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks. Welcome back, Arran. Cheers, Corey. I'm putting it the wrong way. And everyone in the chat. Excellent. Next week, we're going to do it at our normal time. Scott's back. Aaron's here. I'm not sure Mark might join us. I don't know yet. We'll see. And we're just going to try and catch up, I think.
Excellent.
All right. Take care, everyone.
It'll be fun.
Right.
Thanks, everyone. See ya.
Sign in.
Are you looking for an excuse to build a guitar? Or do you just want to be part of the community and see other people's builds? Why not take part in the Jörg's Cup? It's a community build-along where anyone can take part by simply sharing your builds either as photos or videos on social media and using the hashtag Jörg's Cup. You can engage in conversations in the comments section and get feedback from others. The build-along is named after Jürgen Zoller of Zoller Guitars, a valued member of the Guitar Builders Collective who regularly commented on other people's builds, giving them encouragement and ideas. The whole point of this build-along is to grow the community, to make online friends, to share ideas and inspire others. This year's competition ends on the 23rd of April, and if you're stuck for inspiration, this year we have an optional film, Use What You've Got. You can find out more via the Guitar Builders Collective forum, the Instagram page, or our